We never talk about candidates. We talk about biblical issues. And in this climate, Joseph was loyal to his God. He was loyal to his boss. He was loyal to another human being, but he was loyal to God. Oh, follow me here, and I'm almost done. I'm sorry I'm going a few minutes long. Please forgive me. Look at the question that Joseph asks in verse 9b. How then could I do such a wicked thing and a sin against God? Joseph did the right thing because he knew who he was, a loyal God follower. And he also knew that adultery was wrong. Sometimes it's okay if we go back to the Bible and find sin and call the sin a sin. This is adultery. It is a sin. I am going to be loyal to God. God's people don't act like this. And then I began to think, well, yeah, it's a wicked thing. It's a sin against God. He wasn't bashful. Wrong is wrong. Black is black and white is white. There's so many areas that we love to make gray, and the devil is cackling at our effort to try to please people. It seems like in 2016, some enjoy renaming sin to make it sound less sinful. Some try to redefine sin, or perhaps I should say, undefine sin. Come on now, Christians are under great pressure to compromise our convictions, or at least keep quiet about them. So this must be asked, how do God's people respond? Well, I'm glad you asked. Man, you can't walk anywhere without finding a bumper sticker on a believer's car that talks about Washington and Obama and this, that, and the other, or Bush, or whatever, or the governor, or the mayor. I'm not talking. This is on both sides, on both parties. What's a Christian to do about both parties and our world seeming like it's going to hell in a handbasket? Well, I'll tell you what we can do. Church of the Nazarene, my friends, my church family, if we want to see godliness brought back into the United States of America, we must see to it that godliness is brought back into our own homes first. Goodness gracious, there are so many people that I know who are so concerned about Washington, D.C., and their own home is falling apart. God help us. All of us want to see more of God in Washington, D.C., but are we just as determined to see more of God in the family room at night at 7 o'clock when we're all watching TV together? Let's remember who we are and whose we are. Loyal God followers who know what is right and know what is wrong. This is incredible, but one changed person can change a marriage, and one changed marriage can change a family, and one changed family can change a church, and one changed church can change a city, and one changed city can change a county, and one changed county can change a state, and one changed state can change a nation, and one changed nation can change the world. I gotta tell you, let's quit worrying about stuff that we can't do anything about, but vote and start with godliness in our own homes. Son, this is what it looks like now. At school tomorrow, live it out. And when you grow up and take a job of your own, live it out there. And when you become a parent, live it out there. And when you're a grandparent, live it out there. And eventually, folks, I promise and guarantee that revival in the pew and in the pulpit will make its way to Washington, D.C. if God's people will start getting serious about being God's people. In times like these, we need an infusion of the Joseph spirit so that we can do what he did. Joseph called the sin that Potiphar's wife was endorsing just that, sin. He called it wickedness, a sin against God. Let's go back to what I mentioned earlier. Instead of words like adultery, instead of calling a horse, that's adultery, that's wrong, that's sin. Sophisticated people love to use words that don't seem so sinful. Oh, he's just having an affair, a tryst, a fling, a one-night stand. However, here's the truth. Call it what you like. Adultery is sin because God said so. Amen? Renaming sin does not change the fact that sin is sin. There is a way that God's people act. And we can act that way when we're filled to overflowing with God's Holy Spirit. Filled to the uttermost. When there's no room left for any of us. And we're saturated with God's presence. I say it's time for God's people to start living like God's people in their own homes. With their kids. And their grandkids. And in the everyday experiences of life. And watch the nation be changed as God's people get serious about stuff they can really make a difference in. Amen? Thank you, John. Is there anybody today that just knows that God's Holy Spirit can help us live holy lives? Woo! Hallelujah. When a man or a woman knows that he or she belongs to God, it makes the decisions of life so much easier. If you belong to God, you cannot sleep with your boss's wife. It's just that simple. It doesn't matter how lonely she is, how attractive she is, how available she is. You just cannot do it. Period. End of story. No discussion needed. Joseph did not mess around. He did not flirt with trouble. He did not say, how far can I go? He just said no, because God's people don't live that way. We'll close. I think that when revival fire really starts altering the guy that stands behind the pulpit, and when revival fire really starts altering people in the pew of all ages, we won't have to resort to tricks, buffoonery, magic, juggling, all kinds of stuff to draw in a crowd, because people will want to come and check out for themselves what God is doing in the life of people who are so on fire for God. Now that's the church I want to pastor. Is that the church you want to be a part of? Say amen. Good old-fashioned Nazarene entire sanctification. You want to stand with me? Spirit of the living God, for